Hello everyone and welcome to the Chatterbox radio show. My name is Jason Downey.
And I'm Stephen Bloor. Well, Jason, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Well, let me tell you about it. So, Jason, what's going on this Thursday?
Well, Thursday. That's usually the day when the wife and I go and get Chinese takeout.
Chinese takeout. Maybe this Thursday you should think about a haggis takeaway.
Haggis. That Scottish concoction of every bit of a sheep.
Yeah, that's the one, sheep stomach stuffed with offal.
Awful.
That sounds awful.
Why in God's name would I want to go get haggis takeaway?
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but there is a referendum going on.
A referendum?
Yes, the people of Scotland are taking a vote as to whether they want to be independent. That is, no longer a part of the United Kingdom.
They will unite from the United Kingdom.
Yes, and it will no longer be a United Kingdom. It will be a partially United Kingdom. We will now be called the PUK, or PUK.
PUK. Well, I mean, I like hockey as much as the next guy. That sounds like very big news. Gosh, why haven't I heard of it until very recently?
Well, it's fun you should ask that, but it seems that not many people have heard of it until recently. Initially, the idea of Scottish independence came up, well, a good number of years ago, and little by little.
I saw this Mel Gibson documentary about Scottish independence.
Yeah, that was the very early days.
Okay.
This is post that.
And they've still been at it.
Yeah, they don't give up their stubborn people, the Scottish. So, yes, it's been talked about for a good number of years, and little by little, the British government has been devolving powers to the Scottish Parliament, which is known as Holyrood.
The Scottish Parliament's name is Holyrood?
Yes, not Hollywood, Holyrood.
Easy to remember. All right.
And somewhere along the line, the British government actually agreed that they would allow the people of Scotland a simple yes-no vote as to whether to be part of the United Kingdom or not.
Like a simple majority.
Simple majority.
There doesn't have to be like a minimum number of people who come out and vote. It's just like...
That's right. It's just simple majority.
When is this happening?
It's actually happening on Thursday the 18th.
Wow. This week.
Yep. And really, since the time the referendum was sort of agreed upon, it seems to have been ignored, and all of a sudden it's upon us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember hearing about this years ago as a thing that people were talking about, but I didn't realize that it was serious. In fact, like I didn't realize that Scotland would want to separate from the United Kingdom. It doesn't seem like, I mean, I don't know much about European economics, but it doesn't seem like Scotland is much of a powerhouse and that they would get a lot of money from the UK.
Well, that's part of the problem, that Scotland feels unloved by the British Parliament, that they're not getting a fair shake. Scotland, of course, does have oil.
In the North Sea, I've heard about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of it?
Quite a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they feel that most of the revenue from Scottish oil, as they term it, should be going to Scotland. Yeah, so it seems to be Scotland wants more say in what goes on in Scotland. They want to be able to set their own taxes. Everything, basically, should be controlled from Scotland, they feel. At least in terms of the Scottish National Party.
Okay, now that makes sense. But wow, like there are separatist movements going on around the world. I mean, Tibet is the most famous example. They've been trying to become independent from China for years and years. And places like, Eastern Ukraine these days, right?
Right. Closer to home in Spain, we have the Basque separatists who've been fighting for years for a separate state. So,
and even the IRA in the UK itself have been trying to get Northern Ireland back to...
Right. Yeah.
But this Scottish thing seems to be quite peaceful comparatively.
Yeah. I think nobody's been excited about it because everybody forgot about it, at least south of Hadrian's Wall.
Mm-hmm.
It really hasn't been mentioned in the main media. There's been nothing really in the news about this referendum until this past week.
Yeah. I mean, it's only been in the last couple of days that I've been hearing. Like last week, a student of mine mentioned, Scotland's voting on its independence. And I was like, oh yeah, they've been talking about that for years. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, they're really actually voting on their independence, like in a couple of days.
Yeah. So suddenly it's a big thing. It's
Yeah.
big news. And, it seems to have been left to the last minute. All of a sudden, the British politicians, the Prime Minister is scuttling up to Scotland to encourage everyone to vote no. The actual...
we like you.
Yeah, the
Don't
question
we-
itself is kind of interesting.
The
Originally,
referendum question.
yes.
Okay.
So there's just one question.
With like a yes or no checkbox.
That's right. That's all it is. The original question was, do you agree, Scotland should be independent from the UK? Something like that. But the first part of it was, do you agree? And they did a test with some of these questions that were sort of put forward, and they felt that some of them were too biased. Like the do you agree question kind of incites people to say yes. So in the end, they stuck with a simple question: should Scotland be an independent country? And it's just a yes/no vote on that question.
Wow, and that is going to decide textbook maps for years to come.
Yes, and maybe a lot more.
Wow.
I mean, if there's a peaceful referendum in Scotland, the people just have a yes/no vote. I can see that the Basques will be saying to the Spanish government, they did it in Scotland. Why can't we do that here?
Actually, I've got reactions from around the world. A couple of quotes here. Do you mind if I read one?
Sure.
So, the reactions are pouring in from news agencies around the world. This one comes from the BBC. It says, Hungary's economic news website Portfolio warns of a domino effect in Europe. It says, Europe will in all likelihood be infected by Scottish independence if the Scottish independence referendum due to be held next Thursday is successful and the divorce really does happen. Catalonia, the Basque Country, Flanders, and even Venice are keeping a close eye on developments which may once and for all justify their own aspirations of autonomy. Like, I had no idea that there were so many places actively seeking to become independent in Europe.
Yeah, there are these pockets of maybe disgruntled or at one time sort of groups of people who feel themselves to be part of a almost clan who want to get away from the rest of the country.
Okay.
I mean, at one time Venice was a separate country or a separate state.
Yeah, city-state back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And Flanders, did they used to be their own? I mean, it's Europe, right? I guess hundreds of years ago, they were a
everywhere
city-state,
was a little city-state.
Yeah.
But, yes, I haven't heard about the peoples of Flanders sort of trying to break away, but maybe they're going to be encouraged. Yeah, you'll be hearing about them more often.
This is interesting because, I don't know too much about this stuff, but it is the 100-year anniversary of World War I. And, of course, with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, that was the first thing that started a domino effect that ended in, the modern era, really. And you wonder if this very peaceful separation from Scotland is going to have large effects around the world.
How about for yourself?
What do I think?
Those dominoes, maybe they'll fall all the way to America and there will be a north-south divide again?
Well, I think a lot of southern states are happy, but politicians, especially in Texas, I'm not going to say they like to spout off separationist sentiment, but there are separationist movements in places like Texas. And
maybe it's for the same reason. They have lots of oil.
Well, that's true, I guess, huh? Does Texas still have oil? I'm not sure, but certainly Texas has a history of being very independent, right? They used to be their own country for a couple of weeks.
Well, maybe they'll want to be their own independent country again.
Yeah. Well, with this yes/no vote coming, you don't get a say in the matter, but as someone from England, what is your opinion of the whole the whole referendum? Are you going to be sad to see your UK flag go from a mixture of England and Scotland and the St. Patrick's Cross to this pared down red and white version?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure we'll go to this pared down version. I think maybe we could sort of get the background in black in sort of mourning.
Add a bit of Argyle and sort of fashion it up a bit.
Yeah, but well, I think for the average UK citizen, they haven't paid much attention to what's going on.
Even in the UK, wow.
Yeah, it's been under the radar, and it seems to have snuck up on us overnight. You know, as we were saying, like 2 weeks ago, nothing, and now
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're going to be talking about this all week on Chatterbox Radio, so please tune in every day until, actually the referendum will happen on Thursday night, Japan time, and so Friday morning we will report on the results of the referendum, the initial results, and provide commentary going forward. But Monday, the first day of this very decisive week, let's make an initial prediction. What do you think? According to polls, the yes vote, yes, Scotland should become an independent nation, and the no vote, it should stay with the UK, are pretty neck and neck. It's like 40% apiece. And then it's like 20% of Scots don't have an opinion one way or the other. So I wonder, what do you think is going to happen come Thursday?
My opinion is that they will vote by a hair to remain in the UK.
To remain in the UK, okay.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I hope that they vote by a hair to remain in the UK, because I like the flag so much. And I don't know anything about politics other than that, and so this is my very shallow hope. But I fear that they are going to vote by a hair to separate. So both of us have staked out our position.
Indeed.
And time will tell. So everyone, what do you think? Do you think Scotland will vote yes for independence or will vote no and stay in the United Kingdom this Thursday? Please let us know down in the comments and make that call.
Okay.
So,
well, that's all for today.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow where let's talk more about Scottish culture. I'm sure we can think of something interesting to discuss.
Hopefully not haggis.
Hopefully not haggis. I mean, we can discuss haggis, but not for too long. I've got an active imagination. Blah.
Yeah, maybe one day we should get some whiskey in the studio and have a taste test or something. That would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. All right. Everyone, thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow here on Chatterbox Radio Show. My name is Jason Downey.
And I'm Stephen Blower.
See you next time.
Goodbye for now.